Hey, horror fans, welcome back to Jay versus Horror. Guys, today we are doing the top 10 horror films of 2008. And it's a very happy day here at Jay versus Horror. We want to send a shout out to our friends Brian and Whitney at Married to Cinema who decided to marry each other. That's right. I threatened to go down there and stop the wedding, but then I realized Brian wasn't worth it. And also, we want to say happy birthday to Bill Rodriguez from Horror Movie Review Maniacs. Bill's been on a couple times. Actually, came on and did an Evil Dead episode with me that got quite a few views. I think we got a couple hundred views on that, Bill. So we'll have to get Bill back on. Today is his birthday, and he is older than dirt. No, he's not that old. And you wouldn't even believe he's as old as he is if you saw him. That's the crazy thing about this dude. All right, guys. Let's get started with our top 10 of 2008 so everyone can hammer me over how bad these picks are, right? At number 10, I changed this one four times. I changed it four times. What I ended up with is Baby Blues, also known as Cradle Will Fall. It's a 2008 American horror film co-directed by Lars Jacobson and Amar Kaleca, based on the 2001 killings of five children by their mother, Andrea Yates. Although the film is set in the early 80s, it was filmed entirely in Savannah, Georgia, by the company Never Ending Light Productions, and they did have the Andrea Yates story in mind, even though it was set, many years before. Wow, this is a this is a fun movie. I like to call it the mother of all slashers. I hate that they took, inspiration from somebody who did something horrible to write this film. But, I mean, inspiration comes from everywhere, right? And in this film, the mother goes through postpartum depression after the father, who's a truck driver, has left her with the kids. There's five kids, and she starts to basically pick them off one by one and, slash. This is a slasher movie, guys. It's a slasher movie where the mother is insane and she's a killer and the kids are trying to get away from her. And so, if that sounds like something you might want to see, then I think you'll like it. It's a good movie. It's just not for everyone because of the subject matter. It's going to turn some people off right away. But I love this movie. The mother of all slashers, Baby Blues, from 2008. These are all from 2008. I guess I don't have to keep telling you that. At number 9, I have Dead Girl. And it's a American black comedy horror film written by Trent Haga and directed by Marcel Sarmiento and Gady Harrell. It stars Shiloh Fernandez and Noah Sagan, who's always fun. Noah just showed up in Knives Out last year, as teenage boys who discover a naked female zombie played by Jenny Spain. When one of them wants to keep her for a sex slave, the other objects and their friendship becomes tested. This is a good movie. It never really went where I thought it was going to go, I'll say that. And it's a solid flick. But I had some issues with it myself, like the fact that all the characters in this are pretty much assholes. Even the good guys are, you could argue that they're assholes. But there's a lot of just horny teenage boys who apparently will do anything, even though I've never met these kids. I was a teenage boy myself at one point. Don't think I would have had sex with a zombie just to have sex, though. It seems ridiculous to me that these kids are that stupid. But they do. They keep this living dead girl tied up, and they use her for sex. When she starts to decompose, they realize they need another girl. And also, some of their actions have caused this thing to start spreading outside of. They find her in this abandoned mental institution or hospital or something, and they end up helping it spread to other people, which is they're just dumb. But it's a good movie. Trust me, it's dumb kids, but it's a good movie. All right, guys. At number 8, I have Splinter. It's an American horror film directed by Toby Wilkins and starring Shea Wiggum, Paul Costanzo, and Jill Wagner. You probably don't know those names, but I can tell you this: Shea Wiggum is a good actor. He was in Boardwalk Empire. He played Nookie Thompson's brother, Steve Buscemi's brother, for 5 years. And Paulo Costanza, everybody's going to remember him when they see him from Road Trip and stuff like that. So, these they're not totally unknown actors. And it was filmed near Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and it had a limited theatrical release October 31st, 2008. But HD Net Movies, I don't know if you guys remember this or not, if you had to have a satellite to get HD Net, like one of the old-time satellites that you had to type G4 in and it would, that type of satellite. Yeah, it aired on HDNet Movies, which was a channel for that satellite or type of satellite. But the film follows one couple who's kind of like a Bonnie and Clyde type couple, and then you have another couple who's just normal. They run into each other when the Bonnie and Clyde couple are trying to get out of state and they want to use their vehicle. What happens next is they end up at a gas station where, for some reason, some kind of biological thing has taken over, and it looks like oil, but it gets spiky and it moves kind of like the Thing. If you've ever seen that, excuse me. But yeah, it attacks them, and they're forced to like try to fight to survive, try to figure out how to get out of this building alive while this thing is trying to get inside. And basically, once it gets around you, it just takes you over. It kind of reminds me of like the Venom suit, how it does. It just takes over your body, and then it can use your body however it wants to. There's some fun scenes in here where it's just like slamming bodies against the window and stuff, and it's weird the way they use like the human body here. But it's a fun movie, good acting. That's Splinter, guys. At number 7, I have The Ruins. I like The Ruins. I wasn't too crazy about it when I went to go see it. I thought, what is this about plants? I'm supposed to be scared of plants now, Oh God, The Happening, yeah. But anyway, The Ruins is a kind of a supernatural horror film, and it's directed by Carter Smith. Stars Jonathan Tucker, Jenna Malone, Sean Ashmore. I believe that is the Ashmore who is Iceman, right? I don't know. There's like 3 of these Ashmore kids. I can't keep them straight. They look so much alike. Laura Ramsey and Joe Anderson. And it was an international co-production between the United States and Australia, based on a 2006 novel of the same name by Scott Smith, who also wrote this screenplay. Yeah, it's about a bunch of people who go on vacation, and of course they go to a place that they have no business being at, right? And so that's how a lot of these movies go. If you didn't have any business being there in the first place, you shouldn't have went. So I'm not going to spoil the movie for anybody because, like I said, I went into it thinking it was going to be completely one thing, and it was quite a bit different than what I thought. And I will recommend it to you guys and just tell you to go watch it because I don't want to give away what's actually going on here. And we will move on to number 6 at Lake Mungo. Here's another one, like, you don't want to give away what's going on because it's such an interesting part to the film, right? These twists that happen. But Lake Mungo is an Australian psychological horror film written and directed by Joel Anderson and Talia Zucker and Martin Sharp, and it employs the overall mockumentary style, like storytelling with found footage and docu-fiction elements, using actors in place of interviewees to present the narrative of a family trying to come to terms with their daughter's drowning death. Look, this movie's weird. It's very cool. It's very creepy. And about 45 minutes into it, it pulls a dirty little trick on you, where you realize that nothing you've seen is what you thought it was. Now, don't give up on the movie there, because it'd be very easy to kind of get pissed at this movie and turn it off and be like, oh, this isn't worth watching, because the movie changes again. It actually changes a couple more times, where we see this mystery goes deeper than just, photographic evidence. And, they believe they're being haunted by their daughter in their home. They think she has some kind of unfinished business, and they can't figure out what it is. So they bring in a psychic, or a renowned psychic, who's supposed to help the family. And like I said, the movie, it's full of twists. It has at least 1, 2, 3 twists I can think of right off the bat, where it'll be going one way consistently, and you think that that's what's happening, and then all of a sudden something else happens, and it changes the story quite a bit. It's a great, in my opinion, it's a genius paranormal film. Also, genius found footage, and there's some shots in this movie that's how it works too. One of its little tricks is it brings these shots back and shows you some things you didn't see the first time. And this happens repeatedly until the end of the film, where when you are finally looking at what you are supposed to be looking at, it's kind of like creepy. They had to be really smart to do this the way they did it. They had it all lined out and set up, of course. But yeah, good movie. Keeping with the lake theme, at number 5 we have Eden Lake, which is a movie about a bunch of badass kids. It's a British film written and directed by James Watkins, starring Kelly Riley and Michael Fassbender. That's right, Jack O'Connell. There's also one of the girls from Game of Thrones in here. I can't remember her name right off the top of my head. I think it's Maisie. I can't remember. But anyway, Yeah, it's about these badass kids that live in Britain, and apparently they will kill you and rob you and set you on fire and stuff. And Michael Fassbender, who's like, James Bond, cool. The dude played Magneto. He's been in a couple other things. Him and his girlfriend kind of run afoul of these kids, and the movie, I guess, it's more of a serious situation than I realized the first time I saw it, because they talk about how it's one of a small group of films that deal with contemporaneous Britain and this idea, this concept of broken Britain, and a fear of what they call hoodies, which is kids who are just like, wild dogs terrorizing neighborhoods and stuff. And so this one, Michael Fassbender and his girlfriend Kelly Riley, they run afoul of these kids and have, a hell of a fight with them. They end up fighting for their lives, trying to get away from these damn kids. And, these movies, they'll come out and they'll say based on real events, and what they mean is like, yeah, this probably happened to somebody somewhere. And so this is like an amalgamation of several different true stories that they put together to make this. And we'll talk about another film like that soon. At number 4, guys, Ian Lake's very depressing, by the way, guys. It's a good movie, but it's very fucking depressing. At number 4, I have Pawnee Pool. It's a Canadian horror film directed by Bruce McDonald, who's done some other great stuff too, so check out Bruce McDonald. And written by Tony Burgess, based on his novel Pawnee Pool Changes Everything. Now, the movie is kind of a zombie movie. It's kind of a infection movie, but it also takes a different approach to it. It has to do with language and how something, because we are told to believe language is what it is. We set it in our mind like it's a real thing, like it's not something that we just made up, which we did, by the way. Anyway, someone is able to crack into that base of, subconscious understanding of text, and they change the words, and it causes like this freak out amongst people, and it is infectious. Once you start talking to somebody, if you've got it, you start doing this weird stammering thing, and they can pick it up from you and go on. And so the movie is, in my opinion, one of the best films nobody talks about. Great performance from Stephen McHattie here, and just all around good movie, guys. If you like zombie movies, but you want something a little original, go check out Pawnee Pool. Hopefully we'll be getting a Pawnee Pool sequel soon. I've heard rumors, but nothing substantial. I mean, they did make a follow-up called Dreamland, but it doesn't really have anything to do with Pawnee Pool. It's kind of a takeoff. There's like an end credit scene in Pawnee Pool that doesn't have anything else. It doesn't have anything to do with the rest of the movie. And they took from that and created a new movie called Dreamland, which is a decent movie. It has Stephen McHattie in it, playing a bounty hunter, or a contract killer, I guess is what he is. And then he's also playing a jazz musician in the same universe here. It's pretty good. But anyway, we're moving on. At number 3, we have The Strangers from 2008, of course. American psychological horror film written and directed by Brian Bertino. The plot follows Kristen, played by Liv Tyler, and James, played by Scott Speedman, whose stay at a vacation home is disrupted by 3 masked criminals who infiltrate the home. The screenplay was, of course, inspired by real-life events, supposedly the Manson family, murders, as well as a series of break-ins that occurred in Bertino's neighborhood as a child. But some people have noted that there are strong similarities between this story and the true story of the Keedy Cabin murders that occurred in Keedy, California in 1981, though Bertino did not cite this as a reference. Interesting. I think when you're throwing a story together like this, it'd be hard not to get pretty close to another story, right? But anyway, The Strangers works for me. It's creepy. It does the home invasion thing to a point where, if this is a moment where I wish I had Greg Morgan here, because Greg is from Land of the Creeps, and he always talks about The Strangers. He has a fondness for it, and in his mind, this is one of those movies that should scare people, because, creepy motherfuckers trying to get in your house and do cultist shit. There's not a whole lot you can do about that other than, try to just fight them off like these people do. And so, yeah, it is scary to an extent, because it has happened several times, and it probably happens several times a year still where this type of thing goes down. And it's done very well here. I mean, there's a couple moments where you kind of know where it's going. There's a moment where the brother shows up. or friend, whatever, Dennis from Always Sunny in Philly, shows up, and you kind of see where this is going. You see what's going to happen here, and you want them to not be stupid enough to do what's about to happen, and they do it anyway. Um, I like the motivation here. Why are you doing this to us? Because you were home, right? If you weren't home, we couldn't do it. So, no, you're a bunch of cowards. That's what it is. You have to put on a mask and get your thrills by going to attack somebody who's not even fucking with you. But yeah, it's a good movie. Pillowcase head, or sackhead, whatever you want to call him. At number 2, guys, I have Let the Right One In. It's one of my favorite vampire movies of all time. Swedish translation, or the Swedish title, La din rote komma in. Yeah. It's a Swedish romantic horror film directed by Thomas Alfredson, and it's based on the 2004 novel of the same title by John Ajvid Lindqvist, which, that makes me want to go read that. I didn't really know that it was actually based on a novel. He also wrote the screenplay, too, so that's usually when one of these movies that's based on a novel is really good. It's usually like the guy who wrote the novel wrote the screenplay. But the film tells the story of a bully 12-year-old boy who develops a friendship with a vampire child in Blackberg, a suburb of Stockholm in Sweden. In the early 1980s, Alfredson, unconcerned with horror and vampire conventions, decided to tone down many elements of the novel and focus primarily on the relationship between the two main characters. So that's another thing that makes you kind of want to read the novel, is that there's supposed to be more blood and guts in the novel. Selecting the lead actors involved a year-long process with open castings held all over Sweden, and man, they did a really good job when they actually found the kids to be in this. 11-year-olds Kari Hedebrandt and Lena Lee Anderson were chosen for the leading roles, and they are both very good. They did an American remake of this, Let Me In. It's pretty good too, guys. But it's just something gets lost in the translation with those movies. I don't know, like, they'll redo it. Let Me In is one of the better ones, especially when it comes to remaking a foreign film into an English language film. I think Let Me In is one of the better ones that they've done. But it's still not as good as Let the Right One In, which is a damn good story. One of my favorite vampire films of all time. This kid meets a little girl who's a vampire, and she is looking for a companion to spend the rest of their life with. Not hers, of course. She's going to live on and on. And so we see this relationship form. There's also a relationship between her and an old man, and you see that at one point he was chosen by her to take care of her. And so in a way here, I kind of end up feeling like by the end of this, I feel like the old man and the young man are the same character, in a sense that they are both stuck in a loop that will just, a cycle that will, eventually end with this kid being old or dead or caught doing something for her, and she'll have to find somebody else. And so she's a person that, for some reason, these guys fall in love with her being what she is, a creature, and they pledge their life to her. So it's a very good film. Like, you never see this kind of familiar, the vampire and the familiar, the relationship done like this. Very good. So moving on, guys. At number 1, there can only be number one for this year. I think you guys will agree with me. Number 1, one of the greatest films of all time, any genre, Martyrs. It's a horror film written and directed by Pascal Laguerre and stars Morjana Alou and Mylene Japonoi. It premiered at the 2008 Cannes Film Festival, or Cannes Film Festival, at the Marché du Film, and was released theatrically in France on the 3rd of September 2008. Now, Mylene Japonoi plays Lucy, and Jessie Pham plays young Lucy, which I think, you need to put that in there. Morjana Alou as Anne, and Erica Scott as young Anna. It's basically a story about two friends. One of them who was held in a place where they tortured a bunch of little girls and was able to escape. When she escaped, she had nothing. She went to this orphanage. She actually had to leave somebody else behind when all this happened that they were never able to find. Heartbreaking moment there where the person is begging for her to help her. And we don't know what's going on here. And a lot of people think that Lucy is just nuts. They just think she's crazy. She's traumatized. She went through bad stuff, but nobody knows what she really went through but her. And so she meets Anna at this orphanage, and they become best friends. And then we see the next scene is just insane. It's a family eating breakfast. They got nothing to do with Anna and Lucy. All of a sudden, there's a knock at the door. They're talking about all their, daily crap. There's a knock at the door, and there's Lucy with a shotgun, and the fun begins. And it goes from being this weird home invasion movie where we're all like, has Lucy lost her mind? She's just like killing this family. It's weird that she does this because you have like you feel sympathy towards her, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, she's just fucking lost it. But we see that she's being haunted by the ghost of the person she left behind, and all the information she's been able to come with or come put together has told her that these people are part of the ones that were hurting her back then. And this ghost of this other girl is driving her nuts, beating the hell out of her, and cutting her up, all kinds of stuff. And so she doesn't really know what to do. She gets herself in this weird, fucked up situation. So what do? You call your best friend. Best friend comes over. And I'm not going to ruin the movie from there other than to say it does not go where you think it's going to go. It takes a hard left turn, about an hour in, something like that. And the movie becomes something totally different. It's not torture porn. I don't think there's anything like that about it. But it is a very hard to watch film because of the shit they do. These people are looking for a martyr. They are looking for someone who can absorb more pain than any other living human being to a supernatural extent, because they believe that the purification of this pain to the human body, if someone can live through it, they will see God and they will be able to tell this like cult of people the meaning of life or some shit like that, right? It's does it make sense totally? No, because they're fucking crazy. So it's never gonna make sense when they're fucking crazy, right? But this film is off the charts good. I never give anything 10 out of 10. I just don't think that's fair to all the other movies that are good. So I will tell you this though, Martyrs gets 9.5 out of 10 for me. If there's anything wrong with this film, it's not much. It's just really hard to sit through the second part. But I've always felt like that this film is asking you as an audience member to make a sacrifice. You get this first 2/3 of the film that are almost nearly perfect for a horror film. They take classic conventions and cliches and things like that, and they put them together and they mix them perfectly. I mean, it comes out this beautiful color, blood red. But then they want you to stick around for the finale, and that becomes hard for you to do. So, in a way, you're almost participating in the film, in my opinion, right? I love this movie. I don't think there's any question that this will be on the top 10 of the last 20 years. So let's get started talking about the honorable mentions, guys. We're going to go through them as fast as we can. 100 Feet with Famke Janssen, and Bobby Cannavale, decent film. And I thought The Alphabet Killer with Eliza Dushku and Carrie Elwes was decent. You guys have to forgive me. My throat's been messed up the last couple days, and it's been hard for me to get through one of these things without coughing or choking on my own words. And we had Amusement, which I had at that number 10 spot for a minute. I removed it. Great movie, great weird slasher that feels like an anthology, but it's way more tied together than anybody knows until you get towards the end of it, right? Good movie. A lot of people haven't seen that one. It's one I bring up occasionally, and people are like, what are you talking about? Amusement. So check it out if you get a chance, guys. The next one we're going to be talking about here, I'm just cruising through to see if there's anything I feel like needs. There's some cheaper movies like Boogeyman and Book of Blood. I think they ended up on Sci-Fi. The Burrowers was a decent like Western horror film. The Burrowers pretty much says it all. The Children was another movie I had at that number 10 spot at one point, and I ended up taking it out. It's really good though, guys. It's an English horror film about some sick-ass little kids who go on a rampage. These kids are different than the ones from Eden Lake. They're much smaller and creepier. Cloverfield, which is one where people are going to be like, dude, you left out Cloverfield? Fuck T.J. Miller. Fuck Lizzie Kaplan. I don't even like that fucking movie. I mean, like, to me, I don't even want to go there. Lots of times I think I'll say, well, I don't like this movie, but, you guys like it, so I put it in. Fuck that. I don't care. This time that didn't play. I don't like Cloverfield. I like the one with John Goodman and Mary Elizabeth Winstead a lot better than the original, which is like, what the fuck is this supposed to be anyway? J.J. Abrams. But it's directed by Matt Reeves, so I don't know. Just wasn't for me, guys. I understand if it was one of your favorites, and I know you're going to be mad. The Cottage is another film with Andy Serkis. I thought about putting it at the 10 spot, but, I didn't. Oh, I'm just checking it out here to see what I missed. And Diary of the Dead, I like that movie. It's one of George's last good Dead films. I thought it was pretty decent. I know a lot of people don't like that one. They say it's stupid and all that, but I thought it was pretty good. Excision was a decent film. I thought this was from later on, but maybe this is a different version. Yeah, I think it is. The Eye remake with Jessica Alba, that's a decent film. I mean, if you don't want to go watch the first one, it's damn good. Fetus from Brian Pollan. If you like shocky, weird horror films, a buddy of mine right here on YouTube turned me on to that. Need Gore. Thanks, buddy. So yeah, there's some decent other films here, but nothing. Gutterballs was fun. A good slasher from Ryan Nicholson. And it takes place in a bowling alley, and it sounds cheesy as hell, and yes, it is, but it's a lot of fucking fun. The Happening, of course, with Mark Wahlberg, where nothing was actually happening, right? And The Haunting of Molly Hartley was decent. Home Movie, this is another one I almost put at that number 10 spot. Adrian Pasdar, Katie McLean, Amber Joy Williams, directed by Christopher Denham. This is a fun one. It's a found footage movie that takes a weird turn. You see a family, and they have some secrets that you have to watch the movie to figure out. It's another one where the kids are like, you're like, what the fuck's up with these kids this year, right? I Sell the Dead with Dominic Monaghan, who I love from Lost, and Larry Fessenden, who has been in just about everything. Angus Scrimm shows up too. Directed by Glenn McQuaid. It's a fucking funny movie. What's honest, or what's interesting about this one is it's a United States movie. It seems like it would be a British movie, but it's not. It's a fun movie about some grave robbers who get themselves in over their heads, I guess is what you would say, right? We talked about, here, Left Bank, which they remade later on, and I might talk about the remake, The Canal. I think is a remake of this to some extent. But yeah, Left Bank is a good movie. It's from Belgium. Good supernatural mystery movie. Trying to get through these as fast as possible because I've been accused of being, way too long with my, with my, going through the honorable mentions. I've been, attacked. No, not attacked. Midnight Meat Train. I love that movie. Vinnie Jones, Bradley Cooper. Couldn't get it in the top 10, but I still love it, This is the one that made me start thinking about, like, if they ever have to replace, the tall man, it should be Vinnie Jones. He would be perfect at that. Mirrors with Kiefer Sutherland, another one I almost slid into that. That one almost made it up to like 9 or something. I really liked that movie, but it just didn't make it this time. Offspring, which was the precursor to The Woman. It's basically a sequel to a book where the original book never got made into a movie. The One Missed Call remake that had Ed Burns in it for some reason. I think he needed a check or something because that was fucking bad. Philosophy of a Knife, which is, a weird retelling of this Japanese unit that tortured Russian and Chinese soldiers during World War II. It's pretty fucked up. If you like fucked up stuff, you'll like it. Prom Night. Brittany Snow, Scott Porter, and what's his name? I could remember this guy's name 100 million times. But anyway, I can't remember it right now. The guy from The Wire. Like Idris Elba. Thank God. What the heck? Idris Elba is in this too. So it's got a really great cast. And it's not the worst remake ever. I'll say that. The Prom Night remake, not the worst remake ever. If you look at the remake that came out the year before of When a Stranger Calls, that makes this one look like fucking high art or something. Quarantine, which is a remake of Wreck. Watch it if you want to. Wreck is pretty damn good. You can watch that one. Repo the Genetic Opera. I love this movie. Fun. It's to me the best horror musical because it actually has horror in it. It's not like Rocky Horror Picture Show where it's all just schlocky and fun. It's actually got some horror in it. Sauna was pretty good from Finland. Saw 5, which, like I said, it seems to me the ones The odd number Saw movies aren't that good. The Shudder remake, which had Joshua Jackson and Rachel Taylor, decent film. You know, it's a remake, but it's still pretty decent. Uh, that's about it, guys. I mean, there's a few others here. Oh, there's one we definitely got to talk about. A couple here. Tokyo Gore Police. I think if you like fun Japanese movies, you'll like that one. Trailer Park of Terror. I fucking love this movie. It's terrible. I wanted to put this at number 10, but I just couldn't do it. It's so bad. And it's like, I don't know if everybody's going to love it or not. But Trailer Park of Terror is a fun fucking movie. And I like it because they crack jokes and there's ghouls. They're not zombies, they're ghouls. They're kind of like between ghosts and zombies. You have ghouls. And they did a really good job in this one. It's like hillbilly zombie rednecks, ghouls, whatever. It's a lot of fun, I thought. So that's just about it. I mean, there's some other stuff. I could go on and on probably, but I'm not going to. Let's get off here and get this out there to the public because I know you guys want to see it so bad you can't stand it. Guys, that's all we've got for this time. That's 2008. Next time we'll be doing 2009. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Now, don't like the video if you don't like the video, but subscribe because maybe we'll do better on the next one, and maybe we'll bring up some movies you haven't seen that you can go check out. And that's all we got for today. We will talk to you the next time we got something worth talking about. Bye.